So just to explain the process for securing the battens, I need to take them out and just do a little bit of a notch in each one. Little things that I'm not doing to finish off jobs that I've been doing. Little knocks happen here and there. I'm starting to accrue lots of little jobs, which are just little things that I'm not doing to finish off jobs that I've been doing. A great example is here, which I'll explain in a moment. I think it's going to be time also in this stage that I'm now going into to go back and finish off all those little jobs. So I've got 3, for example, which will be true for pretty much most of the bulkheads. I'll show you. Where the bulkheads are fitted, as you know, I'm using the Fixtech 15, and you can see it there squeezing out of the frame. But that's not the case everywhere. You can see gaps there and gaps along there. Now, the Fixtech is up inside and touching the bulkhead, but it's leaving a gap. That's not good for 2 reasons. One is it does leave a space where moisture could gather. And number 2, it also leaves a space where insects could get up there, set up nests and lay eggs. And so what I'm going to be doing is just going back over all of these sorts of areas with the Fix 15 and just run beads along everything to seal them all up. The other thing while we're here is where I joined some of the bulkheads together. As you can see, some of them I have a nice bead of glue which has come out, but that's not everywhere. And so what I want to do is I want to sand these areas where it's come out and fill these areas where it's not filling. That's number 2. The third thing is what I want to do with all of the bolts is put a coating on the threads so that they don't jam up over the years of being in place, just in case something needs to be taken apart. One of the little jobs that I wanted to catch up on is with working and, you know, just the passage of time, little knocks happen here and there. So what I want to do is just go back and touch up with paint all those little spots that I might have knocked a bit of paint off. So for example, there's just a little chip off the paint there. I know it's small, but address it now and it's easy. They're only small chips, but very easy to just address that now rather than leave it till later where it's hidden and maybe causing a rust and corrosion problem. And I also have 5 spots like this, so I'm just going to grind those out and get those sorted. Grind and wire brush those spots back and get them all cleaned up. So these battens are all epoxy coated, 2 coats of epoxy, 3 coats to the ends, and now they're ready to go in. So just to explain the process, what I'll be doing is just using a bit of 120 grit sandpaper just to clean off the surface of little bits of insulation and also to roughen it up for a good bonding surface for the Fixtech. I'll then just clean it with some acetone, apply some good Fix 15, drill holes through the framing to pass through the battens with my new little brushless, of course, and then pass these galvanised coach bolts through the battens to also secure them. I've done here is I've laid those battens out where they belong, well, at the right stations anyway. These ones are the ones for the V-berth, and I need to take them out and just do a little bit of a notch in each one where those horizontal stiffeners intersect the framing, so they can just pass over those stiffeners. But they're all laid in place, and as it would turn out, for some reason I made an extra and one won't be required, so I've actually got 2 spares. So these ones ended up as spares, which will definitely be used elsewhere. And likewise, what I'll be doing is just giving these surfaces a quick sand to give them a roughened surface for the fix 15 to be able to bond properly. I have a few things to do here with regards to these battens. I was putting them in place on the frames, and each one is slightly different. So for example, the forward V-berth battens need to get around those stringers that are going across the plating. So I've had to cut a piece out of those, as you can see. I'm going to be continuing on with that because I still have a few to do. 3 there are done. These ones, for example, and there's a few, they won't slide underneath the chain plate knee where that flat bar is coming right down and joining onto the frame. So I've had to take out some little pieces. Again, each one is unique in its little carved out requirement. And then lastly, some of the battens need to be chopped out. The reason being, these ones are the ones that go where the electrical cable is passing through the frames. And so obviously a piece needs to be taken out so that the batten can be fastened above and below where those cablings go through the frame. It's fun though. This is the sort of work that I do enjoy. Just, you know, handcrafting every little piece to get it to fit the way that you want to. It does take time, but what doesn't? And like with all of the timber, now that there's exposed timber, everything needs to be coated with some epoxy paint. I just thought I'd explain too, regarding the bolts, threads, nuts, etc. There's a bit of a dilemma, because in a boat which has vibration, especially when the engine's running, it puts a lot of vibration through the boat. But movement generally also works things loose. So the dilemma is to put on to the threads something that will lock the nuts on versus putting something on the threads so that down the track, should you need to undo those nuts and take the bolts out, that the threads are going to be preserved better so that you can take the nuts off. So that's something that I've had quite a lot of thinking about actually. What my solution is, and feel free to offer your opinions, but what my thoughts are, I'm going to put Loctite where the nut is going to go. Once the nuts are tightened up, I'm going to go around at a later stage with a paintbrush to all the threads that are exposed and just paint them with a lanolin type product.
Thought you'd be the one for me. Won't you tell me how you feel? I shared my dream with you until
I'm going to let that Fix 15 go off, harden. What I'll do is go around afterwards just undo that nut a little bit, drop some Loctite on there and retighten that up. What I've got here are button bolts. They're 316 grade. The nut and washer, 316 grade also. Hopefully, they do the job. So join me next week, everybody, where I do get all of the hull battens finished, but another slightly unforeseen on my behalf situation. So this is the end of the line for the battens. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell and share. I'd really appreciate that.